Okay, folks, we're on to workout 4, the sprint relay. This is probably my favorite workout of the grouping, mostly because it requires the team to execute. The cap is very, very aggressive. If the team does not execute, meaning they forget where they're going or they get a lot of no reps, they are not going to finish. So it requires smooth, efficient reps. It requires good execution, and it requires that ATP style of workout where you're just blasting out as many reps as you can, going and tagging your partner in, trying to recover for a little bit, and then doing it again 2 more times. So as far as RX goes, we have a 50 and 35 pound dumbbell, same with intermediate. RX will be doing toe to bar, and RX will be doing bar-facing burpees. They must jump over the bar, 2-foot takeoff, and then can land pitter-pattered. Scaled, they have a 35-pound dumbbell for the dumbbell power snatch for the men, a 20-pound dumbbell for the women. If they're doing toe to bar, they will do toe to bar, and they can do bar-facing burpees as well, but they can also step over. So that's something to consider. If they're not doing toe to bar, they will do med ball sit-ups, and we have those standards called out, but essentially is the ball starts at your feet touching the floor, your scapulas and the ball must touch the ground behind you, and then the ball must touch the floor in front of you again, and that's a good rep. An ab mat may be used, and we have a 14 and 10 pound med ball for that. Okay, so let's talk about our positioning. Remember, our positions are indicated with the yellow X's. The floor will be marked as such. All the lanes will be the same. The barbell and athlete directionality will be marked. So I would assume that an athlete, once they're done with their toe to bar or their med ball sit-ups, they'll do a bar-facing burpee on the side. That's why the arrow is facing this way. But obviously they're going to be facing in a different direction when they're coming back over the bar. But let's make sure we keep that barbell near this orange line. And one thing we want to consider for taller athletes is their feet will be dangling into the back of the rig, so it needs to kind of stay in this position. And likewise, their feet may be dangling in. Remember, we have that caution tape here for crowd control. It may be in contention, so we just need to be mindful of that. If you see an athlete start to get out of kilter, if their feet are beyond this plate or that plate, that is a no rep. They must be able to reset, push the barbell in towards the rig, give themselves enough berth to be fully perpendicular to the barbell. Okay. Judge's first position. You're going to be under the rig on this yellow X. 3, 2, 1, go. Your athletes are going to start on the cone. You'll notice that this cone is a little farther away from the wall. The reasoning for that is at the very end of the workout, partner 2, once they finish segment 3, they're going to sprint from their barbell and they stop time by touching the cone. So they stop time by touching the cone. It's imperative that they do that. That stops the clock. So we want to give them a little bit of space here so they don't fully go crashing into the wall, although some people do. I recall a couple of workouts where that actually happened. But they must move from that barbell and touch the cone to stop the clock. So the athletes start on the cone. You're starting here in your first position. Again, don't be afraid to take a knee. You're going to be judging your dumbbell power snatch. The rep schemes are different between RX and intermediate and scaled. The time cap is super aggressive. They should be moving. If they are on the competition floor and their partner's resting, they should be moving nonstop. Okay, so we're going with criteria here that you must alternate. They can alternate anywhere. Above the head, on the floor, that's fine. If you call a no rep on them, we're not going to make them redo that arm. They can just go on to the next arm, but they have to make sure they get a good rep. So if it calls for 15 reps and that 15 rep is on the right arm and it's a no rep, they can alternate to the left if they want and do the 15th on the left. That's perfectly fine. That's a good rep, but they must complete the rep. No reason for them to do it on the same arm, however. Okay, so from the dumbbell snatches, they're going to come over to the toe to bar. Again, you're going to use your discretion. I'm going to sneeze a second. Excuse me. Hopefully that wasn't too loud for the camera. You're going to use your discretion. Your athlete's going to probably tell you where they want to go. Maybe they're setting up a box or a crash pad of some kind, and you're going to know where they're going to be. This time, you're going to have some space to use a tactile cue if you want. So if my athlete is here on this bar, I can reach up and touch my hand and make sure, yeah, I'm getting attacked. I could feel it. I could feel it. That's a good rep. That's a good rep, right? Don't be afraid to use a J-cup or yourself. Ask for a box to get up there. Same thing on chest to bar and pull-ups, right? As long as it's not in the way on the competition floor and it's not obstructing someone's view or creates an unsafe condition, then use it. That's perfectly fine. We can clear that with Kalina and she could talk to you about that stuff. So we got toe to bars. You're looking, obviously the criteria is feet and heels start behind the plane of the pull-up bar and both feet touch at the same time at the top. You're listening for, possibly an audible cue, possibly a tactile cue, and definitely a visible cue when you're looking for your toe to bar. For our med ball, we talked about the criteria. That ball starts in front. On the floor, they bring it back, scapulas and ball touch behind. They vault it forward and touch the floor. That's 1 rep. And we've declared, I think there's only 2 teams using the med ball sit-up. So we'll have those lanes set up appropriately, and you'll understand what athletes are doing that. The med ball sit-up does have an area where you should stand. So I have it marked here, but again, if that ends up not working out, you could stand on one of the other X's. Just be mindful that, folks are going to be coming back onto the floor and need to, picking up the dumbbells and all that. So you want to be mindful of your surroundings. Med ball sit-up, if they're replacing toe to bar, and then we have our bar-facing burpees. So like I said, I would think someone is just going to run through the rig, get down, and start their bar-facing burpees. Smooth is fast in this one, right? You could jump in, you could step in, no problem. 2-foot takeoff. If that, that little where it kind of looks like it's, they're not a 2-foot takeoff, that's going to be good. But, what we're avoiding in the intermediate and RX divisions is this, right? You can't do that. So use that 2-foot takeoff. Now, the criteria here is if they touch the bar, so they jump over the bar and it skins their foot, that is a no rep. But they do not need to go to the other side and complete the rep where they no repped. They could simply just get back down on the floor on this side and complete the rep and move forward. So just like the dumbbell snatches, just like the sandbags, they don't need to reset. There's no resetting. They could simply just, if it's a no rep, just keep going until they make that good rep. Make sure it's audible. Make sure it's, you're signaling if you can. I know you're going to be holding the clipboard and your scorecard, but, again, if you can, that's good for the crowd and it helps the athlete know where they stand. For the bar-facing burpees, you're going to be right here, just, watching the criteria, making sure they stay perpendicular. If their feet start to come out, that's a no rep, right? So they could be on the ground and you call a no rep, and if they shuffle their feet back in, then they can continue, right? So that would be fine. Then they're going to come in and they're actually going to tag their partner. So make sure that they're at least slapping 5 or something. I mean, if their partner's coming out a little bit and reaching, fine. That's not a big deal. But the idea is that they are physically, tagging their partner in, and then their partner is going for the next item, which would be dumbbell snatch at that point. So the way the dumbbell snatch is laid out is the athletes will be facing in this direction. Again, with the athlete directionality arrows, we have some orange tape on the floor depicting where these should be. We have the males on the right and the females here on the left. So, quick recap. First position, dumbbell snatch, athlete comes out. Next position, toe to bar or med ball sit-ups. One thing to be mindful is this barbell is going to be right in your path when you're backing up. You're backing up, right? Just remember that barbell is there and don't trip over it, because that athlete's going to be, they're going to be sprinting. They're going to be doing their dumbbell snatches and they're going to be going right into the toe to bar. So as you're counting, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and your athlete's going here, boom, you're already set up, right? 1, 2, 3. Just be mindful that this barbell is going to be in your way, that you have to step over it if you're coming back that far. So from the total bar, they're going to go to the bar-facing burpees, and you're going to be in this position here, and then they're going to go tag their partner in. So it's dumbbell snatch, total bar, bar-facing burpees, tag your partner. So this one's going to be fast, right? Especially those later rounds, round 3, where everybody's moving and everybody's trying to dig out their reps. The way it's scored, let's see, I believe for scale division, the total bar is worth 2 reps. So for every 2 med ball, one total bar is worth 2 reps to equalize the med ball sit-up reps. And then the same thing, if they get capped, then it is 1 second for every rep that is missed. Again, when this person they're in segment 3 or section 3, and they finish that last burpee, and they're sprinting or touching the cone, that stops the time. One thing I saw between Katie and Nick is when Nick would finish his burpees, he would jump over, right, or step over, and he would actually go into someone else's lane. That is a big no-no. That's a big safety issue. Your athletes will be directed to stay in their lanes during their briefings. If it happens, they get a warning, and if it happens again, then call them a no rep and force them to do that last bar facing burpee and then step over the bar and come and tag their partner in. It's an absolute safety issue. If someone is running this way and someone's coming around and not paying attention, they're gonna slam into each other. So, take charge out there and make sure your athletes are staying in their own lane. Likewise, for you guys, make sure you are aware that this barbell is here, because it will become a hazard, because they're going to be moving fast. You're going to be backing up, and you might catch it on your heel or something. Okay, tactile cues we talked about in total bar. Don't be afraid to stand on the box. These probably won't be out, so we'll have to request one. And that's it, I think.